Second shot, quick! Quick! It spooked into the cave, I couldn't shoot it. Oh. Yeah, let's get it, dude. It's in there. So that's how far we have to walk to get to Harbour Wall. Now you know it's worth it.
Jumping out into some nice warm summer water, I loaded up my gun in hopes of getting some fish. My first dive, I just went down to get the bubbles out of my suit and just warm up a bit, see what's down there. Straight off the bat, I've just seen a nice little bit of life, even on a pretty quiet patch of reef. The start of this harbour wall is always a little bit quiet. You can get fish coming through, but it's usually just to take in the views.
Wow, so conditions are pretty good. There's a bit of swell, you can see it picking up there by Brian. But yeah, looking good. It's this kind of greeny blue, not perfect, but good enough is what we like when we're hunting. So we're probably gonna head straight out, quick as we can, get to the top, and then work our way back. But who knows what happens along the way. Stick around to find out.
Right after that, I laid my eyes on a nice little barkman. From the surface now, I couldn't really figure out how big it was, so I wasn't going to take the shot. But I followed it along. But I waited for it to just get a little bit far away, because they don't like being dived onto, like many fish, but them especially. If you dive straight onto them, they will not stick around. So I hugged this piece of reef, and I tried to approach it slowly. And then I figured out there's more than just one barkman. There were about 3 or 4. At this point, I still didn't know how big they were, but soon I would find out that they were just a little bit too small for me. I don't really like shooting a fish that's just above legal size. It's not really the goal. I do go out here just to get a nice fish. Sometimes I just go for a meal, but this dive, in previous dives I've gone on, I got some nice fish for the fire, so I was all good. Checking out both these barkmen up close, I just decided that's not what I wanted.
I struggled to tell the size of that one, but I'm glad I didn't shoot. It's definitely not big enough. Let's keep going, good sign.
Excitement grew even more when I heard a shot from Brian's gun.
Did you get something?
Big barkman.
Okay, nice.
Well, Fluxon didn't get him.
Okay.
Oh!
There's more, dude. I saw more barkman earlier back there.
Black tank.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Nice, dude.
I don't know how.
Next time.
If you're a spearfisherman, you can probably relate to this. Most shots we take do not hit their mark. Most of them miss by far. But if all your shots are hitting, I argue maybe you're a bit too safe with your shots. You have to take the risks to sometimes get the big fish. Here Brian had missed one, and that's okay. On this piece of reef, I was sticking out like a sore thumb. I didn't have anywhere to hide, but I still got a chance on this big bronze bream on the left. I didn't take the shot because I believe bronze bream are what we call holding fish, and they hold fish on the reef because they're pretty local fish. This is not scientific, but it's what I believe. So if you shoot them out, there's going to be no more fish around. So I don't often take them.
Nah. The big hottie, it's very fishy, but nothing.
Huh? We're gonna shoot something.
I think so.
You may have noticed I was hesitant to say, yes, I'm going to go and shoot something. Because my ideology is, if you're thinking this way, you're probably just going to shoot anything. You're not going to shoot a good fish. You might shoot a fish, which you don't need to shoot. So I like to think about what I'm going to shoot. And before I take a dive, I want to decide if I'm going to shoot the fish or not. Because often if I take a half effort shot, which I don't really want the fish, I either miss or I'll just hit the fish and injure it and it'll get away. Here I'm going to this cave and I pretty much can see as much as you can. It's pitch black in there. But I remembered that I have a torch, so the next dive I go down, I bring that torch out, and it's the first time I'm using it here, and it works like a star. At this point, I see my first big fish, twice the size as the other bronze bream I saw. But again, same logic applies. Out of instinct, I lined it up, but I realized quickly it was a bronze bream and I decided I don't need to take one today. Here I am whipping out the torch. It's a Rob Allen Cave Master. It's a small, inexpensive torch, but it has worked brilliantly so far. The battery life seems great. I've only charged it once. And yeah, just look at the power this thing is in a very sandy water. Worked very nicely for me. I'm happy with it. Going deeper into this cave, I see two fish, a bartman and a bronze bream. And it just shows that if I didn't have the torch, I wouldn't have even seen these guys. So yeah, stoked with the torch. Maybe you should think about getting one if you're doing any kind of cave diving. But this also brings into the theme of sandiness, and that's what we experience from here on out. Conditions deteriorated drastically. The tide got very low, and it started pulling all the sand out through the dollar and through the bricks. And I see this big fish here. It's a big bartman, but it's just sitting in between the sandy patches and I can't get a clear shot. And if you know me, I love bartman. I think they are some of the tastiest fish in the ocean, so if there's one that's a decent enough size, I won't hesitate to take it. But unfortunately, I dived down on top of it and it definitely spooked, but even if it was close by, I wouldn't be able to get it in the sandy mix. Here's why we then punched out to the very top of the wall to try and get a chance at some clearer, deeper water.
Oh, the sand is crap.
Brian took that chance and got himself a nice bartman. On this dive, you can see Brian sitting behind the dollar and just waiting it out, seeing quite a few nice fish, but taking his time to select a good one. He managed to see a few off the sand here and placed a shot. A very good shot on a very nice fish. As he came to the surface, I was enjoying it.
Passed it.
Not too bad.
Yeah.
You shot anything good?
Nah.
Hey, switch her on.
Yeah, it's murky back that way, eh?
Down, there was a very, very big one on the bottom. That's
Okay.
the one that's turned past. I don't know, this area now is nice and fishy.
Yeah. Is this the thing that's making noise?
I think so, it's something loud.
Yeah, it's bloody loud. You can hear it underwater even.
Yeah, so I'm nice and sort out now.
Really?
No, it's wrapped around a little bit.
Aye. Yeah, I'm gonna go a little bit further to the point.
I think this was the foghorn of the harbour going off. Even though it didn't seem very foggy, maybe out at sea it is a bit worse. The sound does persist throughout the rest of the video. That's something you're going to have to deal with. We had to too, it was much louder in person. Dropping down here, you can see how the sand is getting pulled out from underneath the dollar, making things very difficult. But we've swam all the way out here. It's worth sticking around because there are some fish around, as you see this bartman here on the right. Some hotties, or we call bronze bream hotties if I haven't mentioned it before. It's just their shorter, quicker name. I don't know if it's scientifically correct, probably isn't, but it's just how we've learnt it. Diving down on this dive, promise entered the equation. Because from the top I saw this big faint school on the left just travelling over the sand. And it turns out these were spotted grunter, which is also an amazingly tasty fish. On this dive, if you manage to look through the sand, you'll see these shapes in the distance. They're quite an elongated fish, and they've got beautiful spots and details on them when you have them in hand. But when travelling over sand, they go translucent. Very hard to see, and sometimes very hard to shoot. every fish in the school was not really size that I was looking for. They were all probably about legal size, but I was hoping for something bigger. I'm quite conservative. I don't like just shooting a fish for the sake of shooting it. I like to hold out and see if another one, a bigger one, comes by, and that's a blessing and a curse in the same way. As I wait and I wait here, I eventually see something sizable in the back. I'm not able to get a shot on it. I decided not to just swing a haymaker into the mix, and took my time to recollect and dive again. See some of the smaller specimens coming closer to me here, and it's so nice when they're in these big schools because they're very confident. Here again, some 3 huge bronze breams. Like, all of these are over 2.5 kgs. Like, nice size bronze bream. And then off on the sand, you can see the schools start to come by, and just a very fishy section of the dive. And I believe it's because this is right at the point of the harbour wall, and that's where now on the low tide a lot of the harbour water is pulling out. I think that just brings up a lot of food and nutrients, and every little fish that's inside the harbour isn't going to just resist the pull of the tide, they're just going to go with it. And at this point you kind of get the mix. I don't know if that's scientific at all, probably sounds a bit dumb, but I'm just trying to explain fishing maths right now. As I wait here, a few musselcracker, good target fish, one of my favorite fish to shoot, come past, but they're also just a bit too small, and I'm kind of looking for a trophy today because I have fish in the freezer. I'm not worried. So yeah, big barkman comes fast, and I could have shot that any other day, but this day I decided I was being conservative. But yeah, this dive was a nice dive, but for me it was quite difficult. I wasn't getting the bottom times I wanted. I wasn't getting a chance at any big fish, even though sometimes I felt like I was doing very well. I was hiding well, but yeah.
So many fish, just nothing that I want to shoot.
One fish that I really want to shoot today is a white steenbras. A fish of legend in the South African spearfishing community. Even called the white ghost because it is so elusive. Many a spearfishman, an experienced one at that, have barely even seen them. But today, my friends, you will see a white steenbras. After looking in this cave, I didn't find much other than a blacktail and a couple hotties. This kind of diving is fun, but it's also very dangerous. And one thing you really need in this is a float line, because if you do drop your gun in these caves, it's gone. But then you also need to watch out for that float line tangling on things and tangling on you. Talking about it tangling on things, I had a bit of a moment here.
But in the meantime, Brian has found himself a beautiful white steenbras. You think the shot is the hard part for white steenbras? You're wrong. The fight ensues, and they fight like beasts. You can see this fish absolutely spinning and pulling, and the shot has come very, very loose. It's come to the point where the barb is the only thing hanging to the fish. He calls for help. At this point, the fish has basically come off the spear, and after my fight with my float line, I rush in. Without even knowing what's going on, I quickly get to Brian, and he points out, dive there, dive there. So I went down, not knowing what to expect, and this happened. I missed. Point blank shot. The fish turned at the last second. I just failed my friend. On his first big white steenbras, I missed.
It spooked into the cave. I couldn't shoot it. It spooked into this cave. I think it's here. Is it a cob? What is it? What? Shit, let's get it, dude. It's in there.
Feeling horrible, I knew the fish was still inside the dollar, so I loaded up quickly and dove down with zero air in my lungs, having barely recovered. This fish was strong. And despite it having a shot that was a little bit high, but definitely damaged the fish and hurt the fish to the point that it probably wouldn't survive, it was still fighting, still hiding in these caves. Feeling horrible, I tried to search every little crack and cranny. I could not find it for the life of me. Going to the point where it was a little bit dangerous to even be there, I had to come to my senses. I had to get out of these caves.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I saw him. I shot as he went in.
He's a big fish.
Big fish. I thought it was a cod, dude.
We work as a team, and sometimes the team doesn't work that well. And this time I had failed Brian. I had missed a point blank second shot. Shots don't always hit right. You cannot always shoot perfect. And that is when you rely on your buddy to help you out. And yeah, that's where I failed. And this fish is probably shark bait by now. We dived and we gave a full-on effort to try find it, but we could not. Knowing Brian, he has not given up. He's probably sitting in class right now, thinking about the steenbras. We will go back for it. If you made it this far, thanks for watching. Thanks for following our adventures. We're just a bunch of mates that go for dives, and we love the ocean. We love hunting fish, and we love eating fish. If you enjoy it, I'm so happy. Stick around, there's definitely more coming. I know the first chance we get, we're going back to the harbour wall. We're going to go find this fish. Who knows, it might still be roaming there with a scar on its back. Cheers for now. Talk.